All right, so we have a jury and we have all our alternates. So Monday is going to begin opening arguments, but it seems like there was more interest happening outside the courthouse. So, to the article, this one is from CBS News, as the Associated Press is doing live updates. So, anyway, the jury selection process in former President Donald Trump's criminal trial in New York came to a close on Friday, part of a flurry of activity that marked the end of a dizzying first week in the historic proceedings. The trial will enter a new phase on Monday with the beginning of opening statements, the first chance that prosecutors and defense attorneys will have to make their case before the complete jury. And I hear that that's going to happen at 9:30 local time. Friday saw the selection of the final 5 of 6 alternate jurors who would step in for the 12-man jurors if needed during the trial. Elsewhere, a different judge denied a last-ditch effort by Trump to halt the proceedings and get the trial moved out of Manhattan. But the events inside the courtroom were briefly overshadowed by a shocking turn of events outside, where a man lit himself on fire at a park across the street shortly after the jury was finalized. Police officials said the man, later identified as Max Azzarello, walked into the park, opened a backpack, and scattered papers and pamphlets on the ground. He then poured what appeared to be a liquid accelerant on his head and ignited himself. Footage from the scene showed flames shooting high in the air before emergency personnel extinguished the blaze. He was rushed away on a stretcher and taken to a nearby hospital, where officials said he is in critical condition. Now, so we don't know if this had something to do with the Trump trial or if this was just a complete coincidence. I don't believe that they actually, let me see here, if they actually say anything. Nope. Alright. An account on the platform Substack that appeared to belong to Azzarello posted a rambling statement regarding a wide range of conspiracy theories before Azzarello set himself ablaze. The pamphlets Azzarello dropped on the ground were unrelated to Trump or his criminal case. So we know he's a conspiracy nutter, but we don't know what flavor of conspiracy led him to try to set himself on fire. Well, he did set himself on fire, but I'm pretty sure the intent was to die, not be in critical condition. So the incident cast a sobering pall over the rest of the day's proceedings, which saw prosecutors and attorneys for Trump argue over what the former president could be asked about if he chooses to take the stand in his own defense. Okay, so let's get to the nitty-gritty of what happened today. Friday got underway with both sides resuming questioning of potential alternates who said they could remain impartial. Several were dismissed after saying they were suffering from anxiety or no longer believed they could judge the case fairly. Again, I totally get the anxiety because, we're dealing with someone who has no problem at all threatening people. And there are plenty of people who would carry out those threats. Those concerns arose one day after 2 jurors who had previously been seated were excused. One said she became concerned about her ability to be impartial after people in her life figured out she was a juror based on details reported about her in the press. Because that's just so intelligent of the press to give that many clues. What is wrong with you? Another was dismissed after prosecutors discovered legal issues that hadn't been disclosed. Questioning of the remaining potential alternates continued into Friday afternoon until all 5 seats were filled. The court then proceeded to a pretrial hearing to discuss the topics prosecutors would be allowed to broach if Trump decides to take the stand. Now, one more thing about that juror who was upset that family figured out that she was a juror. I don't know what her family situation is like, so that could also just be a concern that they might like or dislike her views on what's going on in the trial. So yeah, definitely, seriously, press, what the hell are you doing? And I went into a major rant on that yesterday. Prosecutors indicated in a filing made public Wednesday that they want to question Trump about a host of high-profile legal defeats to attack his credibility. The list includes an almost $500 million civil fraud judgment recently handed down in another New York court, a pair of unanimous civil federal jury verdicts finding him liable for defamation and sexual abuse of the writer E. Jean Carroll, gag order violations, and sanctions for what a judge concluded was a frivolous, bad faith lawsuit against Hillary Clinton. Trump's attorneys believe all those topics should be out of bounds in this case, which revolves around reimbursements to former Trump attorney Michael Cohen for a hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Oh boy. Prosecutors say Trump covered up the reimbursements in order to distance himself from the payment, days before the 2016 presidential election, which temporarily bought Daniels silence about an alleged affair. He had also denied having the affair. Trump has entered a not guilty plea to 34 felony counts of falsification of business records. He has denied all allegations in the case. The judge delayed a ruling on what topics Trump could be asked about, saying he would make a decision on Monday. As Merchan weighed that issue, Trump attorney Clifford Robert was at a different New York courthouse arguing to a mid-level appeals court judge that the jury selection process revealed that Manhattan is too biased to host a fair trial, and that the process was conducted too quickly. I think, to state the obvious, to think that a jury could have been selected in 3 days, even in what I'd call a garden variety felony case in New York, would be unusual, said Robert, who also represented Trump's sons in a separate civil fraud case. Robert called Trump's New York criminal case one of the most consequential cases in, if not New York, this country's history. Well, that might not be wrong, and asked the judge to pause the case while Trump pursues a change of venue. The effort was the second time in 2 weeks that Trump had gone to the appellate division, first department to seek a stay. Stephen Wu, a lawyer for Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, said that was reason enough to reject the effort, since defendants are only allowed to make all that request once. The defense attorneys were there. They agreed with the decisions to seat these jurors. So, why are we appealing again? To delay things. Robert noted that more than 2/3 of potential jurors said that they could not be impartial and were dismissed. Wu countered, saying the dismissal rate was proof the system was weeding out people who shouldn't serve on the jury. You're seriously telling me that because the system works, it doesn't work? What? The fact that people who said they can't be impartial were weeded out, like this guy said, is proof it works. How are you using that as evidence that it doesn't work? It's not like, I mean, if the 2/3 of jurors said that, then you'd have a case. But it was potential jurors who were dismissed. What the hell? What it is showing is jury selection works, Wu said. Wu also defended the pace of the process, noting the potential jurors answered a 42-prompt questionnaire that was much longer than the usual questionnaire given. He said the 30 minutes given to each side to question potential jurors was also much longer than the norm. Robert cited one of the seated jurors who asked to be excused Thursday. The woman expressed concerns about being identified through media reports. He says it more proof Manhattan was the wrong venue. How does that prove that it's the wrong venue? I mean, what? Because the press can't keep their mouth shut, that somehow this is the wrong venue? Do you think the press in different parts of the country would be less likely to want to report all the facts they could possibly get their hands on and potentially put jurors' lives in danger? How is that any different? Wu said Trump himself amplified and stoked the very press coverage that led to her departure. He pointed to a social media post by Trump that he said was a veiled reference to that juror. The judge, Marcia Michael, quickly denied the stay request without explanation. So that is all I have for this article. So yeah, Monday the real trial starts. So it'll be interesting to see how the trial proceeds and if the Trump attorneys can pull a rabbit out of their hats and actually manage to successfully defend him. Based on what I've seen, the answer is no, but you never know. Stranger things have happened, I guess. So with that, I will see you guys in the next video.